This is still the press, and we're reaching you live from the Abuja studios of KAFTAN TV. And right about now, we have the founder of the Lovewalk Media, Obadiah Mbila. And with him, we're going to be analyzing some of the major headlines we have read to you this morning. You're welcome to the program.
Good morning, Francis. Good morning, Annabel.
Good morning. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you.
All right, so let's kickstart with let's see how we can manage the next 40 minutes of our time. Even as the last report that was just played with story talking about the Supreme Court judgment, and even up until today's reactions are still pouring in with regards to that judgment given by the Supreme Court. Yeah, I've even seen some legal learned silk who come out to say that they probably don't want to say it online or on camera, so they say it off camera that the Supreme Court was all shades of wrong, because they remind you that even the same Supreme Court has stated that during the election there were fracas, there were skirmishes here and there, but so since there was no evidence, that was what they hinged on. But then let's get your thoughts in that regard with regards to the Supreme Court judgment, and two questions, and I'd like you to put them together because they're almost similar. Voice of Liberty says Tinubu has breached federal character, and that is coming from Senator Eyinaya Baribe. Says Tinubu has breached federal character, and I'm wondering why. Probably you'll be able to put them together and tell us. And then the next one here says Tinubu's allies allege alienation and emergence of new cabal in Mbila. Let's put this together with the Supreme Court. What are your thoughts?
Dan Tijo, the Supreme Court,
the retired
judge who just retired, I think the last after 2 weeks ago, Amina something from Sokoto State, retired.
The wife of the senator,
the former senator.
The wife of the former senator.
And there is something I discover about these Supreme Court judges when they retire. They'll suddenly wake up to the reality of how corrupt the system has been.
After retirement.
After retirement. In his retirement speech, Dan Tijo called for a concerted effort to stem out corruption from the judiciary. For me, that was an indirect way of indicting the entire leaders of that sector, that judiciary. Then, if what he claims is something to go by, then you understand that as an insider, he must have seen so much about the way corruption has destroyed the judiciary that made him to summon courage to ask for people to take a look at what is happening in the judiciary. So when you put that together with the legal firework that culminated to Supreme Court verdict authenticating the election of President Tinubu, when you examine the way they handled the 25% FCT issue, when you discover how far they went to justify the verdict at the end of the day, you would understand why Dan Tijo felt that corruption has eaten up the judiciary. So no one is in doubt about why a verdict should go this way or that way. So it simply means the one that pays most will always have a verdict in his favor. This is quite sad narrative about the last hope of common man. Now, when that status of being the last hope of common man is removed, what else, what next should we expect from a judiciary? So, corruption in the judiciary is no longer the story of speculation by outsiders, but insiders has gone ahead to confirm that. Therefore, it speaks volume of what has happened.
Okay.
So that's volume that he's speaking. Does it also have anything to do with the Supreme Court judgment?
is it not the Supreme Court judgment that probably moved Dantijo to come up with what he feels is the ongoings in the Supreme Court?
Okay, let's. I would like to take you by your word now. You said, if you look in your word now, you said if you look at how far the Supreme Court went in trying to
justify
the verdict, it will tell you the wrath in the system. Now, are you saying that for some reasons, justice was not served? Because I would like us to draw a distinct line between public opinion and the law.
Yeah.
And in my own knowledge, I believe that no matter how heavy the public opinion is, it has no consequence in the face of the law, provided it is not proven.
See.
Now, Justice Datijo, he was retired 7 days to the pronouncement, to the date of the verdict. Justice Datijo served in the Supreme Court for close to 20 years. And he saw all of the corruption, he saw all of the anomalies. Why wait till after retirement before coming out to call these anomalies out? This is the point we are talking about. Or could it be grievance, him being having resentment at being mandatorily called to retire before the sitting?
I think he was due
because he was part of the he was meant to be part of the part of the panel to decide the case.
Yes, but I think he was due for retirement. That's one. Two.
But he was not. As at the time he was ordered to retire.
Yes.
He was not voluntarily ready to go on to retire.
Who knows whether he wanted to give an independent opinion as far as this matter in the before the Supreme Court is concerned. One can speculate that, and rightly so, that Dantijo was set to give an independent opinion as far as that verdict is concerned. But for an example,
but an independent opinion, that would mean
minority.
That would mean 1 against 4.
Is it
yes, 1 against 7.
7, yeah.
Which would have done
it wouldn't change the outcome, but it will also cast doubt over the entire process. Some of us are still wondering whether the constitutional interpretation of the 25% that should be mandatory as far as ACT is concerned, whether you want to look at it from the point of law or from the layman's view. It simply means previous verdicts that the Supreme Court had on this 25% has been nullified by the present verdict, because previously it has been upheld. So why is it changing now? These are the elements that
just said previously it has been upheld.
Yes, I can't remember the
citation to.
I can't remember offhand now, but there has been a previous judgment in this matter. So this is not the first time, and the legal experts have also come out to say this is not what you said last time. Anyway, the truth remains that there is corruption everywhere in public institutions. There is corruption with even private businessmen. Corruption everywhere. But it is quite disturbing. It is quite disturbing if corruption would be domiciled in judiciary. The judiciary own would be disorganizing people if we are going to allow corruption to eat deep as it has already eaten deep in the judiciary. It simply means it will be difficult for you to find a verdict, a court verdict that is integrity proven.
All right, let's quickly take this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Good morning. I came from Lagos.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, KAFTAN. And thank you to your analysts as well. Good. Let me make comments on that, the Supreme Court judgment.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you. Honestly, you see, everybody will want to say to his own satisfaction. Like your analyst said there, I have not had it, I have not seen it, and it's not in the public domain, except if he has any strong point to bring it out that 25% has been ascertained before. As related to this scenario of this election, it has never been. And what the Supreme Court gave, the reason the Supreme Court gave, it is a reasonable and understanding one. There is no way federal capital can be different from any other part of the country. For example, now, if you want to take the scenario saying that you have all Nigeria are represented in federal capital, which is true, but the fact is that all Nigerians are also represented in Lagos State. All Nigeria are represented in Kano. It's a very commercial center, no matter what anyone wants to say. In Port Harcourt, all Nigerians are represented there. So if then that is the point, for any person to win an election in Nigeria, you must win 25% in Lagos, Port Harcourt, Kano, and Abuja. Otherwise, let's just close the case. So the Supreme Court have done a fantastic job. Look, I call in this channel after the initial judgment. I said based on what were tendered, I said to one of your analysts there that the judges for level and PDP and whichever one, they are only going there to collect their money because it is glaring from the explanation. There is even someone who is not so educated understand clearly there are folks from those opposition parties, PDP, Labour Party. Let me give you one point. Number one, Labour Party failed to prove the fact that it actually won the election because for you have to prove to your reasonable doubt. It's not just by saying there is violence here. If you say there is violence here, there is also violence in other places. So how do you prove it? What evidence do you have exactly to say in by counting of votes that won that election? And issue of the IRA, voter transmission of the election. Like your journalist said there, Francis, this has to do with the law. Transmission of the election is not completely legal. If the way I want to put it, it is that what do you call that machine? Machine used in the election.
Beavers.
Beavers.
That is what is in the law. So let us not be the cause of emotion to start acting one however. The Supreme Court did a fantastic job there. So the politicians should go back and check themselves. They should not bring any katakata in Nigeria because we don't have one problem in the country. Let this president read the work he has to do.
All right. Thank you so much, Akim.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Akim. God bless you too. Thank you for your contribution. Please land on that thought. Let's move to the next story.
Yeah. I think the verdict from Supreme Court has already given so many Nigerians assignment who want to dig in and establish the fact that Abuja should be treated differently. I, for one, I don't believe that Abuja should be treated differently.
Okay.
But if the Constitution, either by omission or commission, has brought such a clause in, it didn't say that concerning Port Harcourt, it didn't say that concerning Kano, it didn't say that concerning Lagos, then we should take it as Abuja.
So one question that has been on the lips of a lot of Nigerians now is that, does it mean that if I take part in an election, I emerge victorious in 36 states, I get the majority votes in 30 states out of 36, and I'm not able to secure Abuja? Does it mean
you failed?
I failed?
That would have been the highest height of injustice against you.
So why is the why is the narrative different?
It's not.
Even when the Supreme Court is the court of constitution. The Supreme Court is meant to interpret the law. Even when the Supreme Court has said, okay, this is what it is, and for every judgment, every judgment, particularly the lead justice on Thursday, for every judgment he passed, he gave a citation.
Yeah,
he gave a citation for it. So why is this an exception? Why is this
I will tell you why.
Exception.
I will tell you why. Like as I mentioned, all these cities, our caller previously mentioned, they all have something in common. They accommodated all sections of this country. Now, to single out Abuja alone in the constitution might be an aberration, might be a mistake, but it's there. Then, when issues like this are thrown up, it calls for maybe looking into the constitution and finding ways and means of amending that clause so that it will not be like Abuja is just different from other cities that has been mentioned.
So whatever we're doing it now, looking forward to the 2027 and 2031 election.
Exactly. That's the purpose of the reason why National Assembly is in place. As we advance, you find that the laws in our statutes book need to be looked into, need to be amended, the constitution need to be altered so that so and so obstacle would be removed.
All right.
Ambiguity would be taken care of.
All right. Let's take this call before we take the next story. Good morning. Are you there? Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Okay, I'm calling from Kotangora. I'm still in Daramola.
All right, Daramola from Kotangora. Go ahead. You have less than 60 seconds. Let's get your contribution.
I'm here, man. And we have to just say the truth. The truth of this matter is that things are not working well in Nigeria. Let us say the truth. The last election is a shambles. And I don't know what we want to lay down to the next generation. The truth has to be told. We have to try as much as possible to fear God in anything we do in this nation. Anything we do in this nation, we have to fear God. So, with all what really happened during this election, so the Supreme Court didn't even see anything wrong for this country. I pray that the Lord Almighty will help us.
Amen.
The last caller, I am not interested on what the last caller said. That daddy in the house or in the studio, I really commend you. I'm a Yoruba man. That is not the truth. Let us just say the truth. Do what is right for this nation so that we will get to a higher destination. God will help us.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daramola from Kotangora. Great to hear from you. Let's move straight to other stories so we can manage our time. As we move to Blueprint newspaper, the famous P&ID case fraud. And Blueprint screams, how I fought P&ID fraud, saved Nigeria $15 billion trauma, coming from the former president Muhammadu Buhari, as he says it is an attempted heist of historic proportions. Nigeria won this battle with corruption, but the war is far from over. That's one on the side. And then secondly, you have still on that same case, and almost all the whole papers have the same story, where you have former president Muhammadu Buhari saying that he was the one that saved Nigeria from that menace. But then okay, so the Metro says Buhari opens up on $11 billion P&ID case, describes it as an attempted heist of historic proportions against Nigeria, would have stolen 1/3 of Nigeria's foreign reserves. Late Abakari Malami roles in landmark case explained. Now, just just wondering why we're so interested in Nigeria winning that case, but no one is asking the question, because that case, that happened during that administration, the formal administration, it actually shows that it's just more like the telecoms communication, or NEPA. Before it was like power sector, before it was when it was privatized, you keep hearing the accusation that it was just given to few persons. There are so many corrupt cases, but nobody is asking who are those corrupt hands that is in this till. Everyone is just interested in, we have won that case, and then former president come out to say that if not because of him, that would have been not be able to build schools, not be able to build roads or infrastructures. But that's on the side. Two questions, and I'd like you to put them together, even though because you talked about how corruption has eaten deep into every fabric of our society. So now that's one on the side. The next one, still on the metrics, says Ndume defend purchase of SUVs for National Assembly members, says it is not a new thing. And then I hear people say, throw that in our faces. That's some gumjon.
Yeah, let me just respond to Ndume's claim. It is unfortunate that every season, when this National Assembly is set to equip the legislators, all eyes become open. Nobody talks about how many cars does a minister have in his garage. Nobody talks about what are the type of cars the director generals of some parastatals and agencies are driving. Nobody is talking about the type of vehicle the directors in NNPC, especially the MD, is driving. Nobody talks about that. It's always...
Or NCC or CBN.
Beautiful. So it's always a focus on National Assembly. For me, it is quite distracting. It is quite distracting. In as much as I do not support huge expenditure, government spending so much money in providing the facilities they need to perform their job, either in the executive or the legislature or even the judiciary. One should not please misunderstand this legislators' vehicle thing. The legislator needs some level of comfort in order to perform his work very
so that comfort is vehicle?
Now, I'm coming. The problem we have here is that it does appear that because the legislature is closer to people, so that scrutiny, that intention to scrutinize everything is always present.
Now,
do we deprive them of having quality vehicle just because it is very costly?
Okay, now that's a very pertinent question you just asked. And on that note, I listened to two senators from the 10th Assembly, and their defense for the purchase of these exotic SUVs is, one of them said, he said, Ali Ndume in particular, he said his job as a senator is to make laws and oversight functions. And if you look at the value, they all bring to the table collectively as legislators, and you look at the amount spent on purchasing these vehicles, you get to discover that it's worth it. And he also gave an analogy that, okay, Nigerians are shouting that it's their money, Now let's gather the money and share it to Nigeria and see if it will still make any sense again. That's on the part of Ali Ndume. And another senator said that for him to deliver his oversight functions, that the road to his constituency, that by the time he drives the car on that road twice or three times,
he might need to get
another one. But he was sent to the Senate to make laws that will get those roads fixed. Some of these senators have been in the House of have been in the National Assembly, both the red and green chambers, since the 5th Assembly in 1999. In 1999,
that's the 4th Assembly.
The 4th Assembly, beg your pardon, in 1999. So now, at a time when we are so desperate to cut the cost of governance, purchasing vehicles, SUVs for our legislators at the rate of 160 million naira for 403 legislators, amounting to over 53 billion naira. Is it worth it at a time when we are talking about cutting down on the cost
majoring
of
on our major?
Would you want me to answer this question as an insider or a critic? As an insider who understands the volume of work that a good legislator undertakes. As an insider who understands some of the difficult terrain the senator alluded about, I can tell you that a good vehicle, solid vehicle, is required by every legislator. And it beats my imagination to think that many of us have not come to terms with the work of the lawmaker. You have just asked a question now. What has he been doing since 99 that he has not fixed this road? It's not his job to fix this road.
He said legislate on fixing that road.
How do you see how they legislate in fixing that road? Is by making sure that the federal budget captures that road. It is not their duty to release the fund. It is not their duty to give the contract out. It is not their duty to begin to ask the contractor go back to site and so on.
But your job to represent that.
I will tell you, of course, representation.
I put it to you that it is part of their duties because it is part of the oversight functions.
Thank you.
It is part of
now, when you come to the oversight,
so you cannot tell Nigerians that you ensured that a road project was captured in the year's appropriation bill.
Yes.
In the year's appropriation bill.
Yes.
It was captured.
Yes.
Monies were allocated to it in the appropriation bill for the year, for the calendar year, and you come back to tell Nigerians that it is not your duty to ensure that the monies were released.
No. You misunderstood me here.
Some of this.
Sorry, you misunderstood me here. I'm not saying.
We are getting somewhere now. Let's take, for example, the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway.
Yes.
That road, according to the news, the news around, that road gets yearly appropriation, gets money allocated to it every year, and that road is still uncompleted till now. Kidnappings are happening there every day. People are untold accidents are happening there every day on that Lagos-Ibadan expressway. Let's take a look at Abuja-Lokoja expressway, for example. Who is talking about it?
Or maybe the Abuja-Nasarawa Kefi.
Abuja-Nasarawa Kefi, and there are senators who represent the areas, who represent these areas, who use these routes year in, year out.
Yeah, you see, representation.
Let's quickly take this call before you go ahead. Hello, good morning. Okay, go ahead, please.
Representation involves advocacy on the part of the one representing. And I dare say, from my own understanding, working very close with National Assembly, I've seen some federal budget capturing projects that has not been awarded for more than 15 years now.
And we have also seen projects
capturing
projects that do not exist.
I have also seen some of the legislators representing those areas where these projects are cited, going to lobby the executive, going to praise for the construction of that project. And sometimes they will meet a bottleneck, namely, they have not released money. They have not released. Who releases money? The executive. Who executes? The executive. So, to the extent a representative would have gone to lobby for a project to be executed in his place, as long as that project has not materialized, no one will ever believe that the representative is doing his representation job.
Mr. Obadiah, for so long in our legislative chambers, every year when we are making budgets for the upcoming year, we've dealt with the problem of budget padding, right?
Okay.
Who are the people padding the budget?
Beautiful. I want to say this. Each time the budget is brought to the National Assembly, the National Assembly has gone through the accusation of padding. And from my own investigation, I have discovered that some of this padding comes as a result of executive lobby.
How do you mean executive lobby?
Take for instance, when the budget comes to National Assembly, they will bring in the executive to defend the budget, justify the reason for the expenditure, and categorize how this money will be spent. Such process of budget debate and public hearing of budget defense would usually lead to finding out some of the allocations that are either high or low, and where one need to cut and pad. The other ones come as a result of the legislator wanting to include budget, what they call constituency project. Now, this also may lead to padding of the budget. Now, when they use the word padding, it does not necessarily mean corruption per se. It means that money that was allocated to that place may not be enough to handle the matter, so the legislator can adjust. The question here now is, it came up during the Obasanjo time, should the legislators adjust the budget that has been prepared by federal executive, by the executive, or should they just allow it like that and pass it without amendment, without adjustment, and so on and so forth? The popular opinion is that the legislature is not an appendage of the executive. It's an institution, of democratic institution of its own. Therefore, if the constitution says that they should oversight or look into the budget, it simply means that they are allowed to also adjust the budget where necessary. Right. That is what we call budget padding. Okay, so I think we have to leave that story because our time is fast. But let's go back to the first question I asked you with regards to the PNID case. Yes. We keep talking about our success, but nobody is pointing fingers to those people that have their hands in this cookie jar. Yeah, that's where the whole thing is troubling. It's not enough for you to come back here and say, oh, that's your money that was lost. I found it. My first question is that who took it? Who took it in the first place? But here we find a government that is quick to claim credit of bringing back Abacha's loot. Did Abacha go there to deposit that money, by the way? Is it not someone that was used as a conduit to take away this money? And then we have found where this money is. Why not prosecute those that were responsible for taking the money out? If there was a plea bargain, you tell us, look, there was a plea bargain that so money will be released so that we can leave these people. But the culprits were Mr. ABCD. So we can make public shame of them. That is one way to reduce corruption in this system. And do you see this happening anytime soon? No! Look at Buhari. Buhari is happing on what you will call his legacy. Bringing back that huge sum of money is no means feat, I must say. But who, apart from the Briton who jumped bail the other time, because he didn't prosecute this crime alone. There were agencies that were involved. They were director general. They were permanent secretaries. They were they were officers of Nigerian origin. Why not arrest them? And by the time you've prosecuted them, the other ones will be discouraged from taking such line of action. Imagine taking such huge sum of money out of our shores and then is going there to serve other countries, solve other countries' problem, while Nigerians are suffering. So I have been told that we have won the case, but we must also wait to see the money before we begin to congratulate
all right.
Buhari.
I actually had one more question, but even though we have a caller, but let's quickly take that last one in 1 minute. Help us. Daily Sun says IPOB to federal government, remove terrorism tag on us. Stop calling them proscribed people.
You know that IPOB did not set out to become a terrorist organization. It was an agitation for secession, which the promoters knew what they were looking for and how they were going about it. But I also understand that a group like that can degenerate from their original intention and move into other crimes that they consider necessary to press in for whatever struggle they represent.
So do they have a good reason to say this, or they should still leave that terrorism tag on them?
For me, the IPOB, as it were, could be termed as a right group. A right group. They were pursuing what they feel it is their right. It is the handling of it by government.
So even with the utterances of Simon Simon Epa, that means we can describe a man like Simon Epa as a human rights activist.
No. I said a group like that can start with good intention, but as they move on,
they get infiltrated.
They degenerate into something else. Like now, they have done that. You know.
So if since they have done that, they should they still be called terrorism group, or change the name? In one word, yes or no?
I don't know.
Thank you so much, Obadiah Mbila. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure having these discussions.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
All right, viewers, that's where we leave it for the press for today. We'll see you again tomorrow. My name is Annabel Orji. Stay safe.
And I'm Francis Adeniyi. Good morning to you.